All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back from break. As we talked about, I'm going to kind of focus your project a little bit. This is more of the systematic process, is what you're going to do when you're going to do it. And again, for everybody's kind of benefit here, I split it. So I'm going to take a detour to the end and come back just for the sake of being a mixed group with different people in. So hopefully that'll make sense as we kind of go forward here. All right, so this is sort of where we're going. The phases are sort of completely made up, but I like the framework of it, and I figured it would help everybody to figure out sort of where we are. And again, as I mentioned, we've got a number of the group that is already in proposal, and then the other group is still in their marketing class, and that's fine, but I'm going to split the talk today in two different pieces for that reason. Looking at sort of where you're going, and there's just bits and pieces covered in. A slight caveat is that we have made some systematic changes over the last couple of months for process improvement pieces, and where you're still not going to find some of that listed out in the handbook. Proposal forward, everything in a handbook, great, not an issue, but pre-proposal is where we made some of the changes. So bear with us in here, but all this information is accurate to where we are and where we're going. So just sort of your own timeline. Again, if you started in May of 23, you're in your proposal now. We're all working with you and those types of things in that process. And if you are the fall start, you are still in marketing, and I will see you in 7090 in the summer. So again, there's going to be bits and pieces along the way that you're going to kind of have that opportunity to um, to work through and to work around. But this sort of gives you an idea of where you're going. So again, that summer May start proposal now, you're coming back to 8120 in July. And we're going to talk a little bit about a few things that'll occur in and around that class. Fall 1, you'll finish your last class ever in 9120, and then you'll move into one-on-one advising with the dissertation. That is roughly scheduled 6 months. The little catch at the bottom, and italics it, started, etc., is that you're really scheduled to generally defend in April. However, as my advisees have heard, and I think I mentioned it to most of the cohort, so it shouldn't be the first time you're hearing it, but because of the April piece, and we do a one-time graduation in early May, in reality, you are looking at needing to defend by mid-March in order to ensure your defense is passed, your paperwork is completed by the end of March, and then you can participate in that graduation. That's the only extra in doing that, but it's a rush. It's extra. Is it possible? Yes. Is it required? Absolutely not. And it's not a necessary requirement, but it's something you can shoot for. It's something you can strive for doing, but you are 100% on time defending in April, etc., just finishing out as things go. So that's some of those pieces. And we can talk about those offline or in the next class and things like that as well. For the other group that's here today, again, you're finishing up marketing, and then you'll sort of switch in. So you're going to come into 7090. We're going to work on your prospectus. You'll do your proposal work in the fall. You'll do your last two classes, late fall, early spring, winter, and then start your dissertation sessions in late spring, running through the summer with that approximate defense in August. Same idea, just a few months different. Oops. Okay, so here's where we're going for this part. Again, I'm skipping and going out of order, so I'm going to do the last parts first, and then come back, and we'll do the others at the end. So general proposal, again, we have a large amount of people that are in this, and everybody is going to be in a slightly different spot. So I'm going to generalize it, of course, but obviously it's a one-on-one work with your advisor, regular meetings that could be weekly, bi-weekly, sort of whatever you set up with the advisors. As you towards the end of the proposal session, you're looking at being program assigned a methodologist, and then you'll work with your advisors on a second reader. Just for everybody, in case you have that question, we as a program are nearing the idea of being able to assign all the methodologists out. Some of you may have heard, but some of you have not yet. And then second readers, we can all begin that discussion if it hasn't already occurred over the next couple of weeks to sort of wrap that up for you. So our goal, obviously, by the end of this session course, summer one, is that you have your proposal officially completed, approved by your major advisor, and then it's at least submitted to your then newly formed committee, and it's your committee that does that approval. Breaking down, this is directly out of the handbook, so I'm not going to spend time on it, but I just want to break it down a couple of different ways. My advisees have heard me talk this way, but for everybody's benefit, you sort of looking ahead as where this goes. Formal proposal will become part of your dissertation, but bits and pieces of it are drastically expanded. I always talk about those first few parts as the sort of the chapter one information is big overview and intro. Your background is your literature review here, and then it moves obviously in a much larger expanded version, as Dr. B pointed out towards the end of her presentation for the chapter two, and then your methodology, of course, becomes chapter three. We add a few extra little sections in here. The entire proposal, though, once approved by your committee, you'll move to the next phases and steps there. And from there, it will go on to actually become most of your chapter one. You edit, you add, you mess around with it a little bit. But in reality, you're not doing the work for a one-time thing. You're going to move it and it'll become chapter one of your dissertation. Further break that down a little bit just for sort of everybody's benefit. And again, a large chunk of our group today is here somewhere, regardless of what part you're sort of on. The chapter two related, or sort of the part two, the lit review, the background is actually taken on early, and then a large chunk of that, if not all of it, is done in 1790. We'll explain that to the other group in the second part. So you're moving into proposal with a large portion of that at least drafted, cleaned, etc. Maybe some edits to still go. Working on the chapter one pieces, intro, problem, purpose, research questions. Again, as Dr. Campbell mentioned, the alignment of those. Does it make sense? Are you looking at what you want to do? Taking that core of here's my purpose statement, here's my research questions, hypothesis statements, if it's applicable to your study, qual-quant kind of idea. And when you get to the methodology pieces, is does all of it make sense? Is what you're planning in that part three information, is it really going to answer and address your research questions? Do you have that core alignment piece organized and together? So these are the different parts to that. Then we add in a variety, obviously, of our references, APA follow, all the things Dr. B spoke about earlier. It's a great time to fix mistakes if you have them, because it only gets worse. It only gets a lot more. Think about the 20, 30 references that you may have in a proposal, or the 10 you might have included in a prospectus, but you take that to the lit review alone in the dissertation, and you're well over 50 plus. So you don't want the continued mistakes, things like missing DOIs, things like that. You want to get them all in while you can. The unique component to the proposal is a lot of the appendix documents. You'll create a definition of terms. If you're using instruments, you need some original pieces. You need the permission to use those. You'll work through consent forms. Dr. Hood should mention that here in a little while. You'll have how you structure your questionnaire, right? You're probably going to add some demographics. You may add in a couple of open-endeds. If you're doing qual, you're going to have interview scripts that you're going to prepare. All these things become appendix documents, and they're referenced in the methodology section. So you're sort of building them together. From there, again, approvals, if you're looking at organizations or you're going to a particular business, you have to secure all the approvals, meaning you're allowed to do research at those locations. And then you develop a general work plan that'll similarly follow the schedule that I showed you a few slides ago, but broken down sort of by month, or at least by class session that you'll be working through. From there, we take, okay, proposal, goal, finish, right? So right now we're running till, that mid-June, whenever the official week 7 of summer 1 would be, at least for this group. It'll be the week 7 of fall 1 for the other group. So that mid-October, you'll have it, your goal, again, getting it approved by your major advisor, being able to share it with your committee for feedback. It's always going to be feedback, but you're looking at it where that process will be. When you get into 8120, whenever you do that, again, right now, July or November, we added a few things last year to this, and it's okay. Some people already have one of these potentially done, might be working, might be in process, all the things, but no matter. If you haven't, then city training is required. Again, Dr. Hood may mention this, but it's required. You do need it, ethical research, all those things. But officially, we're going to require it by the end of week 4 in 8120. It's a pre-step. You need it. You got to have it for IRB, so we're going to make you do it anyway. From there, you're gonna one or the other, and it's looking at that IRB submission. It's the next phase. Once your proposal is fully ready to go and approved by your entire committee, IRB becomes the next part. It's the next hurdle. It's the next cross. So either you're going to officially be there and your major advisor is going to fully allow you to submit to IRB. You're going to fill out the application and actually click the submit button. Or if you're not there yet for any one of a number of reasons, we're going to walk you in the class. I'm going to walk you through a kind of pre-worksheet, prep worksheet of here's the information that you sort of need to stage for your upcoming IRB submission. And that's sort of the goal within that. Again, remember that after proposal, you have the 2 classes, 8120, 9120. So class becomes your goal again. It's a little hard and it's a little challenging to reset a bit, but the logical process of finishing proposal, doing all these extra pieces, but again, your concentration courses become the primary focus, and you can sort of work on some of these extra pieces as time is allowable for you to do that. Again, as additional time, remembering the priorities of the class is first. It's anything you can do to help yourself move forward. Once your proposal is done, once IRB is done, then really the one big thing you can work on is building up your literature review, because that is chapter 2, and it's where the bulk of your time is going to be when you start actually working and writing the dissertation. Making sure you have your articles organized, making sure you've read them, making sure you've taken the notes. Dr. B talked about ways to do that. Dr. Campbell talked about a way to do that. So any of those ways or a different way, but you want to make sure that you have those things ready to go and organized and you're working through it. Even if you can fit in between class and family and jobs and all the things, a 30 minutes to read a couple of articles and make a few notes, it's still progress. It's still going to help you as you move forward. And I forget who mentioned it, but the idea of it being is if you're working on stuff and you want your major advisor to look at something, send it to us. We'll certainly add it to our list and take a look at it for you. But any of those things, it's going to be the lit review that's going to help you with the timing when you get to the dissertation itself. Some other pieces to consider, again, I sort of just talked about them, but again, it's that regular piece with chapter 2, right? As Dr. Warren mentioned up front, right? Manage your own time, stay focused, be consistent. You want to prep if you can anything you can do for your dissertation. But when you get to that dissertation, it is one-on-one. It is a lot of self-guidance, self-management of your own time. And thus you have to meet the goals that you and your major advisor have set. It's not a class grade per se, meaning Thursday night discussion post has to be done. Sunday night, there's an assignment. I know I do for my advisees. The goal is the due date of Sunday night, keeping the same weekly process. Well, if you dedicated X amount of hours, and I always ask people, how much hours, what's the approximate hours you worked on in a given class for a week, your average class? And it's probably 15, 20 hours a week doing reading, discussion, assignments, etc. Well, that's your same reality when you get to dissertation time or proposal for that matter. Those times should be there. If anything, this is heavier lift. You are going to probably need a bit more time than your average, but it should never be less, or you're just going to get further and further behind. Limit your downtime. How many breaks do you want to take? How many weeks do you plan on not working? Keeping in mind holiday breaks, university weeks off, those types of things. Is that a break? Is it a week? Do you need that time? Maybe, but could you be somewhat productive during those times as well to again move your work forward? Those are some of the key pieces to think about. And then final reminder is that we're going to do the beginning of the major presentation here at the end, just so that the people that have already finished with it do not need to sit through it again, though you're welcome to stay and hang out, but you don't need to.